Hello, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, theys and thems. I almost screwed that up, but it's been about a week since we recorded. Welcome to episode 65 of the Geek Press podcast. As always, I'm joined by my ever rotating guest celebrity co-host today. You know him, you love him, Mr. Seth MacFarlane. How you doing, Mr. MacFarlane?
Hello, Lewis. I'm Seth MacFarlane. Hello.
Seth
That's the best.
MacFarlane. I feel like if MacFarlane had to talk, he'd kind of talk like this a little bit. You know, he kind of. Nah, I'm fucking. I'm not even close to that.
Oh my god. Hi, I'm Noah. Every time we film this, Lewis sets me up. He knows I can do 6 impressions, and he sets me up every time with a celebrity. Half the time, I don't even remember what they sound like. The only reason I even started singing is because Seth MacFarlane did did some vocal work for what's that white rapper that is part
Logic.
black and he loves it? Logic. Yeah, he did like a bit of singing for a Logic song, and I was listening to it earlier because it has a nice beat, and that's the only reason I went there. Oh, Ted is so good. Anyways, how's it
I saw a
going?
TikTok of the guy and
Mhm.
girl, like they were in the studio and like doing little dances. So everyone was like, "Oh, they're filming season 2." So there you go, they're filming season 2.
Beautiful. Ted is so funny. I
Yeah,
didn't expect it to be either,
I
to be
think that's one
honest.
of those shows. Like I was like, "You're doing a TED show now." Like
Mhm.
years after TED 2 had came out, and TED 2 was like, I think the lesser of the two. Like I think when people think
Mhm.
of TED, they think of the first one. Um, but so
And Ted 2 was 2015. It's been almost 10 years.
and the show
Wild.
was really good. Like I was surprised at how much I liked it. Like it has its heartfelt moments, but it's very much a McFarlane show still.
Mhm.
But just like any timely podcast, we're here to ramble, and ramble we will. So Noah, I'm gonna start it like how we usually start it every week. What have you been watching? What have you been doing? Catch me up on your life.
Oh my gosh. Well, I've been not too busy. Everyone, it's been such a long time. I became a lawyer and I was doing really well and successful. But then when Lewis said, like, oh, let's do the podcast again, I quit my job. I moved back home. I'm ready for this podcast. I'm ready to make this my full-time thing. I'm just so excited to be back. Um, Recently I have been getting really into fitness. Shout out to you because you kind of reintroduced me to a mutual friend of ours, Zach. Because I didn't really talk to him, but you managed to keep that up. And we go to the gym, and he teaches me a lot of workouts. Half the time, what he says goes a little bit in one ear, out the other, because he's like, "The lads do this," da 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 da, da," and I like process half of it,
I mean,
and I'm just like,
you don't really got
"Mm,
to like
yeah.
process a good chunk of that. Hold on, I'm trying to turn on a ring light so it's like better lighting.
And
Ah,
it's
there we go.
fine, but basically I'm trying to work out, because me and my group, I have a group of friends and we're all doing a weight loss challenge, and I've been stuck at 10 pounds, like, for my start weight. I've been stuck at 10 pounds, and I've been trying to get to 11, and I finally hit 11 today, so I'm very proud of that because I feel like the first 10 is, like, water weight in a way. So I'm just happy I kind of broke through that, and I'm gonna start working out more. Not for, like, healthiness, I feel like inside me is like a mean hot person, and I really want to embrace that
That's what every
lifestyle.
fat person says.
Yeah, yeah. That's why you can't give fat people power because if you do, it'll go straight to our heads.
hmm And anything else besides that?
Oh my gosh, I have been reading a book called.
Oh, here we go.
Oh my god, I don't even read it. I just look at the wiki summary and then I
Have you
pretend to
read
read.
the book on? Okay, so it's gonna be my
Okay, tell
left,
me.
your right.
Hmm.
There's the green ones, and there's three of them. There's one in the middle. Have you read that middle book?
Oh, in my camera.
Yeah. So you see where your thumb is? Go up.
Uh
Okay, where the tip of your thumb is, there's three
huh.
green books. Have you
Uh
read the
huh.
one in the middle?
Hold on, I'm gonna mute it. I'm gonna grab it, and you
Uh,
you keep talking.
okay,
You can talk about my pretentiousness about books.
okay. So Noah has a collection of books, and out of these collection of books, no, oh, no, 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 a little bit more. No, oh, okay. I'm directing him on where to go. I'm directing him on where to go. I'm directing him. There we go. He found it. He found the book. But he has a collection of books, and he just has them on his wall for decoration. So all these books you're watching are like they're not
All
real.
right, I'm glad I muted my mic because there was a lot of squeaking and moving. Okay, um, this is a great recommendation for people that you know that are Harry Potter fans but refuse to grow up and out of Harry Potter. It's a series called The
Transphobia. I'm
Magicians.
just kidding.
Do you enjoy transphobia? Try Transphobia Light. It's where you're not blatantly transphobic, but you just pretend you are, mate, and say like, "Oops, I didn't know." But no, The Magicians is a book series by Lev Grossman. It's kind of like Harry Potter, but if it was in America and it was college instead of high school.
Mhm.
And because of that, there's a lot of people like doing magic and doing drugs and like visiting other planes. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it. I think my favorite part about the series is the main character is a piece of shit for like most of the book series. He's
Mhm.
like kind of a bad person until like the last one, and he's kind of like, shit, all right, I've been a bad person. Why don't I do something about that? And it's like refreshing because usually our protagonists are like, they have flaws, but they're good people. I kind of like reading about a piece of shit who fucks up everyone around him, and then he's finally like, shit, I fucked up everyone around me.
See,
So I enjoy
that's why I wanted to do my we'll get more into this later. But that's why I wanted to do my D&D campaign because I like yours. Like yours were like the good we are the good guys no matter how you cut it. But in mine I was like I want to be a bad guy. I want to be like a criminal. Like
it.
like it's cool being the savior of the world, this
Mhm.
and that, but like if I want that I'll play Noah's campaign.
No, it's fun being an asshole sometimes. It's
Yeah.
just fun being a bad person. But
And
before we talk more about that, that was my thing. Lewis, what have you been reading? What have you been watching? What have you been consuming in media?
so I have been I haven't been watching any shows except Avatar because my girlfriend put me on Avatar, and we do this thing where like we'll bounce between shows, but for like we usually watch like hour-long
Mhm,
shows, but the reason why we've been stuck on Avatar for as long as we have is because it's like 25 minutes. You can finish an
mhm.
episode, and if we want, we can binge like 4 episodes, and that would have been like an equivalent worth of an hour show. But it just they're easy and consumable, you know. And
I don't think the world is ready for your hot takes on Avatar.
oh no, that's a show, all
Uh,
right. Uh,
I feel like you like Korra more. I feel like you
I
like Korra.
I I've told Elizabeth this, and I was like, I haven't even started Korra. I already like it more than I like Avatar, and I've been doing that, and I got my girlfriend back into reading, and coincidentally, I fell out of reading, even though I read as a job, and I've just started picking up books again. So I was reading this cyberpunk book based off the video game. It takes
Mhm,
place like I think it's like 6 months to a year before the game. It's
mhm.
called Cyberpunk No Conscience or No Coincidence, something like that. You know, let me look up the name really quick as I'm talking. But I she had bought it for me. Um, it's called No Coincidence. She had
Mhm,
bought it for me like during Christmas or my birthday, which are last year. It was either because my birthday's in January, so it's either my birthday or
mhm.
Christmas. She bought it for me, and I got like to like chapter 5, and there's like 200 pages, so I was like at page like 90. I jumped back into it, and I was like, I don't remember who any of these people are. Started back from the beginning, so I'm back at I'm at chapter 2 now of the book, and I've been doing that. And as for like games, that's a good question. I've my same answer as usual. I play a lot of Fortnite still. It's
Mhm.
Fortnite's one of those games where it's like I can just hop in with my buddies and we just turn off our brain and play. So that's why I really enjoy playing Fortnite a lot. But I've
Have you
also
been playing Space Marine?
yeah, so that was gonna be the next thing I
Mhm.
was gonna get into. I got my buddies to buy Space Marine, and one of them doesn't like it, the other one does, and I that's one of those games I enjoy playing on my own. So I've been doing that a lot too. But I want to talk about Avatar for a second and kind of like dive into that show
Oh my god.
because I talked to Noah about this off camera like maybe like a week or two ago, and okay now before I get into all of this, I understand that a 27-year-old man, is not the target audience for the show.
Mhm,
The target audience for the show is like kids between like 7 to maybe like 17,
mhm.
something like they're your adolescent years. And I get that. I 110% get that. But I cannot watch this in the eyes of a child. I am burdened to watch this through the eyes of an adult. Some of the writing in that show is so fucking horrendous. It's like, oh,
Everyone's gonna come after you now. They're gonna find you. They're gonna looking up your IP address right now. They're placing bets and hits out on you.
like,
You can't say that.
Aang is fucking annoying for
Mhm.
he's barely starting to become likable, and I'm like at season 3, like episode like 8, and there's only like 16 episodes. I'm like, I'm barely starting to like you now.
Mhm.
All he did like for like the first like for majority of the show was just complain, 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 and just be a whiny little bitch. And then Katara this whole time is like, Katara belongs to the streets, man. This whole
Oh
time
my
she's
god.
she's teasing Aang this whole time, and every time a new boy comes around, oh, she gets all fucking her girly pearly eyes, and she's like, let me talk to this guy. Flirts with all of these
Uh,
guys, and then Aang's right there, and she's like, I don't want Aang, I want this one. And the only people I like in this show is Appa, Momo, Sokka, and Toph. And half of them aren't even human. Like, Toph is a real one through and through. I like her so much because she's like, yeah, I'm a rich, spoiled kid. And what? Like, but she's like, she
Mhm.
could back her shit up, you know? And just when I started to like Zuko, because I very much feel like throughout the entire show, Zuko's fucking railroaded into the show. He's just kind of there. And then the writers are like, oh yeah, we have to have him have some kind of plot relevancy. And they're like, okay, we're gonna have him. This is how they're gonna cross paths. And I'm
Mhm.
just like, okay, like they just both so happen to end up in the like this big
Is
city.
that in reference to season 2?
Season 2 and like season 1,
Because
he's
season
just
1, he's actively pursuing
yeah,
it. So
yeah,
like,
yeah,
there's a
yeah.
reason they're going after each
But
other.
season two,
Mhm.
and it's just like, oh fuck, Christ, like I'm jumping all over the place, but
Mhm.
like for season 2, it's all like of Iroh and telling him like, yo, build, be your own man, forge your own path, do this, and he's like, yeah, you're right, and he has this whole like dream sequence, and he's like, he wakes up, and he's like, you know what, Uncle, you're right, fuck the Avatar, let's go build our tea shop, and then the second Zula comes in, Daddy loves you. Fuck you, Uncle. I'm gonna like betray you, this and that. I'm like, you're such a bitch for that. Like that's a whole
Mhm.
season of like character development down the drain in like a second, just because the fucking writers were like, wouldn't it be cool if he went back to the Fire Nation? And I'm like, no, it would have been cool if he teamed up with fucking with
Mhm.
Aang and them, with Aang and the gang, and be like, yo, let me teach you how to firebend. And then there's another thing too. Aang's like, I don't want to be a firebender. I accidentally burned Katara. Now all of a sudden I'm scared of fire. Motherfucker, it is your job as the Avatar to like get into that, to learn how to firebend. And there's an episode I just watched in Avatar, and I'm glad they addressed it. He was like, I haven't even learned how to firebend. I'm like, yeah, no shit, because you've been too much of a pussy to firebend. Like, you have the powers of a fucking god, and you're scared of some fire. You got killed with some lightning. Like, you need to learn how to do that. And here's my hottest take of the show, and everyone
Mhm.
just seems to like not agree with me on this. Everyone likes Uncle Iroh. I get it. Again, if you're watching this as a young as a kid in your adolescent years, I get how you can like Iroh. But if you're watching this as an adult, there are specific lines in the show that prove to you how much of an evil piece of shit he was. Like, he has pillaged fucking towns, looted historical artifacts, and got and like led a fucking army by all. And I say this half jokingly, and I say half jokingly because a lot of it's true. The Fire Nation are essentially Nazis,
Mhm.
and he
They're
but
fascists.
yeah, by all accounts, Iroh's a Nazi too, and he
Mhm.
was a fucking a Nazi again. I understand that, you know, it's not 1-to-1, but but he was like essentially a Nazi general. And then for him to be like, "Ah, you know what? I'm a corny old man now. Look at me. I've changed my ways." It doesn't change the fact of everything you've done up until this point. Yes,
Mhm.
like you want to reform your nephew and you want to teach him that what you did is wrong. That is good. He never atones for his past. And this whole time too, where he's like, my son got killed in the army, an army that you actively led and fucking were a high command. If you really wanted to, you could have pulled your son
Mhm.
out of that squad and be like, you're on desk duty. All right. If you have anyone to pin your son's death on, it is you. Like, you could have at any point, and then the second his son is killed, he's
Mhm.
like, you know what? Maybe war is not a good thing. People die. No shit, people die. Like in season one, this was the part that really got to me. In season one, he gets captured by a couple of earthbenders because he's like naked
Mhm.
like a hot tub. I forget.
Yeah, it's like a little B plot
Yeah,
where you just
he's like naked in a hot tub, and these earthbenders capture him because he thinks
mhm.
it's Zuko, like in the bushes or whatever. And then they're like, "Oh, this is the general who burned down our city," and I'm like, That's when everything clicked. That's when the fucking Iroh hate train began because I was like, "Oh yeah, he's a piece of
Mhm.
shit,
He's a war
dude."
criminal.
Uh-huh. And then flash forward to like season 2, there's a flashback sequence where Zuko and Azula are in the palace. And when they're in the
Mhm.
palace, they're the dad is saying like, "Oh, General Iroh got you these gifts," and then he gives Zuko this sword or it's like a dagger. He gives some kind of blade,
Mhm.
and he was like, "This is the blade of a general who this blade was made from like ancient materials and passed down from generation." And I'm like, you just got a historical family heirloom and said, "Fuck that, I'm gonna go give it to my nephew." Oh, sorry,
They're
my alarm's going
colonizers.
off.
That's
Uh,
okay. They're just colonizers just taking shit. And
yeah.
you know what? I'm not even gonna refute anything you're saying because on I would some of the things I'd argue with you on, but you have a very valid point about like these are bad people, and we're just supposed to take whatever like oh change of heart reformation at face value, you know, and it's just something that you kind of have to accept with the show.
And I like I said too, I
Mhm.
get if I was watching this as a kid, I would be like, "Oh, Iroh, that's my boy. I like him." But like again, I'm watching this as a grown man
Mhm.
for the first time, and I can't like I'm looking at it through the eyes of reality. If I saw him, I'd be like, "He's a
Mhm.
Nazi. We gotta kill him." Like I'm all for that. And
Mhm.
I will say the one time I actually do like him right now is like he's in prison and he's pretending to be like a senile old man while
Mhm.
he's like getting yoinked up, and I'm like, that's cool. That's a cool side of him that I like. But then again, I'm very actively aware that's like Nazi Iroh coming to
Mhm.
fucking play right now because he's like, I have to survive, and
Mhm.
so I don't like him. He's a very charismatic dude. He's very funny, but you know who are also very funny and charismatic?
Sokka.
The Nazis.
Oh no!
But
Oh
I will
no!
say though, the stuff I do like about the show
Okay.
is that I like this idea of, and it's the same reason why I like Daredevil. But then again,
Mhm.
I've been educated on this, and a lot of people in the blind community don't like Daredevil for this exact reason. Where it's like, yeah, like I'm blind, but I got supersonic hearing. But I like this
Mhm.
idea of like, yeah, Toph is blind, but she doesn't let that disability define her. And she's like, let
Mhm.
me overcome my surroundings around that. And she's constantly angry, but she's angry because like everyone looks down on her and like, oh, let me help you. She's like, motherfucker, I don't need your help. Like I can do this on my own. And that's why I really, really like Toph. And I like Sasuke, not Sasuke, fucking
You're getting your animes mixed up.
yeah, I like Sokka because he's just a dude. Like he's
Mhm.
going toe to toe with these people, and he's just a fucking dude. And I like the world that they've built where it's like
Mhm.
everyone's like kind of disconnected. And I'm like, in the time of war, y'all need to unify. Like you have one
Mhm.
common enemy, but the Water Nation isn't working with the Earth Nation, and then the two water tribes are so disconnected they don't even know what the fuck's
Mhm.
going on the other side of the ocean. Um, but at the same time too, like with the writing, it's just a lot of it doesn't. There's like a lot of inconsistencies, and like
Mhm.
I just got to this episode where uh um Katara learned how to bloodbend, and
Mhm.
the witch, the bloodbender, is like, yo, she's depicted as this villain because she kind of is. She's just killing innocent civilians and like capturing them. Like, yeah, that's a bad thing, but she is spitting facts at the same time. She was like, we need to use whatever leg up we can against these people because look what they did to me.
Mhm.
And she was like, and then I was talking about it with Elizabeth. The bloodbender is like, this took me a lifetime to master after being in prison for so
Yeah, and then
long.
Katara does it in 5
Yeah,
minutes.
and
She's like, "I'm good."
I'm like, all right, I guess, you know. And so that was another part that really like peeved me too.
Mhm.
And as far as like Aang, again, I haven't without watching Korra. I've seen a lot of my buddies just kind of because Avatar is such this. Everyone and their mom is essentially heard of Avatar, and everyone always likes to have the debate who's the better Avatar, Korra or Aang. And Aang hasn't done anything that's like crazy. The only thing I
Mhm,
saw him do really cool was when the fire tribe got attacked and he turned into like this water kaiju. And like
mhm.
that's the only one true Avatar thing I've seen him do. And I'm like, how can you say he's the superior one when half the time he doesn't even know what he's doing?
It's because he's a man.
Honestly, yeah.
Like, no, I think it's always weird to have those conversations like who's the better avatar, specifically because Aang is like what 14,
Yeah, he
15,
uh-huh.
and Korra is like 18, and at the end of the show she's like 23 or something. You know what I mean? So like it's weird comparing a teen to like a grown woman, kind of. So
Mhm.
that's always a weird conversation. But I get it's like their journeys as avatars, and I will say I think one of my theories of why you don't like the show simply because I see what characters you like in media and stuff. I think the thing is about Aang is that you don't like his personality is kind of passive because you
Mhm.
prefer those characters that are more like take charge,
Mhm.
like Sokka, like Toph, whereas like people like Katara and Aang are a bit more demure, a bit more like take a back seat. Let's find another way about this.
Mhm.
Where you're just like fuck no, fuck that. Let's go get it.
Yeah,
So I think that's a big difference.
and that I'm curious to see like where the show goes, and also
Mhm.
too like I was having this talk with Elizabeth, my girlfriend, who's totally real. She
I swear, guys, she's just not here. She's at summer camp.
um, I don't understand why like a good chunk of season 3 is just
Mhm,
filler, and that's the final season. I like they got a higher budget. You can tell like especially when you're watching the
mhm.
shows back to back, you can definitely see the quality increase and notice it a lot more. But it's just like I'm on like episode 6 or 8 and like 4 of them have been filler and I'm like there's only 16 episodes. Why are
Mhm.
why do I need to see them like I enjoyed the beach episode, but I'm like why do I need a beach episode right now? Why do I need a beach episode of Azula and them fucking terrorizing kids?
Well, I think it was just I'm okay with filler episodes as long as they kind of present something new about the world or the characters.
I'm cool with
As
that
for the beach
too,
episode,
but my thing is like why are you doing it in season 3 when you only have 16 episodes and season 2 had 18 and season 1 had 20? Like you have less time to fuck around. Like your episodes need to be more concise.
I would say simply I mean, I guess that beach episode was more to like to explore the Fire
Uh-huh.
Nation kids, their histories, their past, like everybody does it. That's their trauma dump episode for that group, for the Fire
Mhm.
Nation group. And I think they do get into some shit later, so maybe it's to get you to like them more, to get you to explore these characters more. And you have Zuko straight up admitting, like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
Mhm.
I betrayed my uncle. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm an angsty teen. Why do I have power? I should not have anything. And it's interesting. I think it's a lot of character work, and the plot doesn't necessarily move forward, but I think these characters are explored, maybe not to the greatest extent, but I think we do get more of an insight to them. You know,
Mhm.
Ty Lee becomes more than just like a peppy girl. Like you learn that she like has a need for attention because she didn't have family, and then Mai just doesn't. She has a problem caring about anything, and then Azula is just a fucking psycho, I guess. But she has mommy
That's
issues,
why
you
I
know.
like Azula so much is
Mhm,
because I okay. I understand what I'm saying in the context may sound
mhm,
bad, but let me finish this. I could enjoy a Nazi character if they lean into like the Naziness. And take Inglourious Bastards for an instance. That's
mhm,
always my prime like go-to villain. Like I'm not gonna defend the main villain. I'm blanking on his name, but you know who exactly what I'm talking about.
mhm,
Um, but I like him because he's a piece of shit. I like him
mhm,
because through and through he is the villain and he leans into this. So like if
mhm,
you're gonna make your character like that, fucking go headstrong into it, you know?
mhm.
And that's why I like her so much. And I feel like that's why I like Toph so much, and that's why I like um Sokka so much because they're where Azula is like straight up fucking like Nazi like army girl. They're the polar opposite of that. And they're the perfect
Mhm.
mirror of that. And that's why I like them so much like that. Sorry, I didn't know where I was going with that,
No, it's yeah.
but that's why I like Azula so much because like
Mhm,
the season 1, she's only in one scene in season 1 that I could remember, and I knew right off the bat, I was like, "I like her." It's when,
mhm,
It's in a flashback scene where Zuko's explaining how he got banished, and you see her. It
She's
cuts
like
to, yeah,
smiling.
it cuts to
She's
the
like fucking
family
smiling.
watching Zuko get the shit beat out of him, and she just has this giant grin on her face. I was
Mhm,
like, that's funny. I like her, and she's like, oh, you're definitely gonna like her as the show goes on.
mhm,
And I'm like, all right, cool. Like, but that's why I like characters like that too, where it's like, because I feel like Avatar, they're too scared to lean one way or the other too much with their characters as a whole.
mhm. Well, the next time we talk to someone about this, maybe don't say the thing about Nazis. Maybe leave Nazis out of it. Uh, we don't need to hear about Nazis. I guess it's like villains that are unapologetically themselves
Like a
can be
Homelander.
really great. Uh-huh. Like Homelander, there's whole episodes where he explores his trauma and everything fucked up that happened to him. And there is parts where he's like, "You guys made me this way," but at the end of the day, he's not like, "This is your fault." At the end of the day, he's like, "This is who I am, and I'm gonna
hmm
fucking do what the fuck I'm gonna
And
do."
then when you
And
think
that's
he's gonna have the slightest like redemption, he goes right back to being a
mhm,
piece of shit.
mhm. And that's Zuko a lot, flip-flopping a lot, like, I was made this way, like, my family," and then Azula's like, Yeah, I was made this way, fuck it." It's the difference between the 2
Uh
of them,
huh.
and I can understand why you like one and dislike the other.
Ah, fucking that show is something else.
But I enjoy it, I have fun, I recognize, some of the things you mentioned, I think it's just personal preference to shows and characters, but some of
hmm
them I feel you do have some valid points.
hmm
But, yeah, I guess because I didn't have cable growing up, so I didn't really watch Avatar. Strangely enough, at, like, Walmart, I picked up the season 3 DVDs just because I was like, "Oh, like, that's
In a
anime,
bargain
right? I'll
bin.
pick it up." Yeah, like, for the longest time, I only watched season 3. I didn't watch 1 or 2. 'Cause, I'm stupid like that. I do that shit all the time nowadays as an adult. But, when Korra came out, I was actually hyped, so, like, I followed along with
hmm
Korra, and I was, like, in the right age of Korra because Korra was for the fans that were, like, 18 and above,
hmm
kind of?
And I'm excited for Korra too, because like
Mhm,
I know they have Aubrey Plaza in it, and they got like Omni Man and a few other people. So I'm excited for that voice cast that they have.
mhm. I will say that I think the thing about Korra that I think is the most intriguing is that in comparison to Avatar, when doing Avatar, they were kinda guaranteed what they would have. They kind of not in the sense, like, there was a very strong chance that they were gonna have those seasons. So they plotted out those seasons. They said, "This is the story, we're gonna go this way, this way, this way." With Korra, they were really only promised 1 season. It
hmm
did well enough, so then they said, "Okay, we'll give you 1 more." So they did 1 more, and then they said, "Okay, that did well. We'll give you 2 more." So it's kinda like they
hmm
didn't have a chance to plan out a 4-season arc. So it's like 1 arc, then another one, and then 3, 4 runs incredibly like a lot smoother story wise.
hmm
So if you don't like it at first, I get that because
hmm
that's a lot of people's experience, but I enjoy it.
I already like it more. I don't like Aang. I think
Mhm.
he's too wishy
He's
washy on his
whiny.
shit.
If you're not gonna
Zuko.
like the live action, then you're not gonna like the live. Don't watch the live action.
See,
Then
that's what I'm on
it's
the fence
rude.
about. I was talking about it with a friend who I won't name on this show because he does shitty live actions. Um, but
Rudy.
yeah, Rudy. And he was like, I like it, but I feel like I have like this was him talking to me just literally today. He's like, I feel like I have to like it because I also do shitty live actions, and I'm like, at least you're self-aware. And
You know
but
what? The special effects aren't bad. I think that's one of the saving graces of it. It's just like the story. It's tough when you adapt stuff because if you don't do the story exactly as it is, it's weird, but
it's
then
the
if
whole
you do
Watchmen
something
thing.
different, yeah, it's the Watchmen thing, and it's like and if you have a chance to redo it, the choices you make are just weird, I don't know, like, one of my biggest things that I love the Kyoshi Warriors.
Yeah,
I
they're one
love
of my
them.
favorite parts of the
Mhm,
show. They are so well written, and that's like a prime example where it's like less is
mhm,
more. Like I want to see more of them, but I'm like I understand why you're not doing that because then it takes away from like
mhm,
the allure of them. And one of my favorite scenes in the entire show, and it's also one of the scenes I hate the most, is where the Kyoshi warriors are fighting Azula and her gang, and I'm like, damn, this is dope. They're going head like they were like standing their
mhm.
ground, and then it just cuts away
Yeah,
because it was the Appa episode, and that was by
mhm,
far like one of the best episodes of the show too. But they're like, "Run, Appa, get away, we'll be fine." And you see, like 3 episodes later, they ended up. You figure out, spoiler alert, they lose the fight. But I'm like, I would have liked to see that fight though. Like that was such a
Mhm.
cool thing. And then, yeah, I'm sorry, I like the Kyoshi Warriors. I don't know where I'm going with that, but
I I literally forgot why I mentioned them, but
oh, because you're talking about the live
I
action,
like
and you're talking about
yeah,
effects.
like there are changes in it, and I was like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if like oh Suki went with them the whole time, and then it's just like silly little things that I would have changed that they didn't show up, but that's more like a personal preference, but.
Hmm.
Yeah, I like the Kyoshi Warriors. I guess that's my response to all your complaints. I like the Kyoshi
I
Warriors.
like them too. They're dope.
I
And
like
I
it
did
too.
like that like episode where she was like with them on like the trail snake thing with the sea
Yeah,
monster. And then
and
afterwards she
Aang's
was like,
all
"I'm gonna
Aang's
go
all
back."
sad,
Uh-huh. I also
and he's
like
like, "I'm gonna
too
name that baby Hope."
I like too how throughout the show it's very hinted, and there's like one episode where she straight up admits it that Toph has a crush on on Sokka. And I like that, like the whole time when she
Mhm.
was like, "Oh, Sokka, my hero," and kisses the Kyoshi sister,
Yeah.
and she was like, "Oh, you can just let me drown now."
Yeah, it's
Like,
just like
and
so funny.
right there, I was like, "Oh, does she have a crush on him?" And if you
Uh-huh.
watch the show, there's little things she does that like you
Mhm,
see kind of like a little girl. Like it's very much like when they would say like, "Oh, boys pick on you because they like you," but you see
mhm.
her do that to him throughout the show, and I'm like, "Oh, she has a thing for him, but she's not like she's never gonna flat out say it." And I
Yeah.
find that very cute. Like she is so adorable in that show. I fucking love Toph.
Mhm. There is a this isn't really a spoiler. I don't know if you've gotten to the episode yet, but there's a throwaway line where Toph hits someone and they're like, "Why do you keep doing that?" And she just straight up goes, "That's how I show affection."
Hmm.
Like as a joke. And I'm just like, "Oh, that's why you're always fucking teasing and beating the shit out of fucking your boy Sokka."
And I find it funny too, like like
Mhm.
that guy doesn't even try, and he gets all these girls.
Yeah. Yeah. He's great. I respect the hell out of Sokka. He's just that every man?
Hmm. And
And he's like next to these gods
I
and he
know
he's still
that Toph comes back in Korra as like an old lady, so I'm excited to
Mhm,
see how she, big or small, how she like reprises her role in the show.
mhm.
But I am also hurt that they kill fucking Sokka off screen, and I'm just like, that is so lame.
It's I won't get into it, but yeah, it is just like why like what is I would be interested to know what the choices are for which characters managed to show up in the show and which were just killed off?
Hmm. And I understand too, like if you're gonna kill him off screen and then kind of do like a flashback sequence, that'd
Mhm,
be cool because then it's like it shows them. But I was told by my girlfriend that like you have to read like the comics or something to like see what happened to him or further explore his route. But I'm like, it's back to the whole like Star Wars thing where
mhm.
it's like I don't want to do homework to know what happened to like this key character.
I would say for the comics is very similar to the episodes, just more that the only big plot point they really continue on is the search for Zuko's mom. The
Mm,
rest of it is just like them having adventures, I would say.
mm-hmm.
But if you're a person that's big on like what happened to Zuko's mom, they have a
I
whole comic
forgot
about
about
it.
that.
Yeah. Zuko doesn't have a mom. That's why he's sad, Lewis. That's why it's okay that he kills people. He's sad. We have to title this episode like fucking we hate Avatar.
We hate women.
No, we hate men. We love women. We love Korra.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
We hate Avatar.
Okay, so you were saying Azula's mom, or okay,
Oh, I was saying that like, oh, my mom's dead, and now I'm sad, and my dad's mean, so I'm gonna be a Nazi.
okay.
That's
Now
okay.
we're gonna pick this up at 34:45.
Okay.
So yeah, so I get
Mhm.
that, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it. If you're not the biggest fan of it, I understand that, but I enjoy it. I have fun with it.
I am curious because they did the funny enough, the studio who worked on the Warhammer game that came out, Space Marine,
Mm.
that same studio is working on an Avatar game now. And
Are
yeah,
they?
it's gonna be for console, and I trust them because the Warhammer game is really good, really really good. And
Mm,
even though obviously it can't be the same like tone or anything like that, I have faith that they can pull something off. and it's supposed to be like 1,000 years before Avatar. So you're one of the past avatars, and you're just going around doing Avatar shit. Other than that, not much about the game is known because it's like in very early development.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
There was an IGN article.
Saber Interactive.
Shout out Saber,
Shout out Saber. Send us pre-release
Sandbox
codes.
PR. I got you. I love you guys.
Oh my gosh, the thing about Avatar games,
They've all
there's
been
been very
bad.
few. Yeah, there's very few of them, and they're all shit. They're all shit. So anything, I'll take it. Why not?
And
Apparently, they're looking to expand the world building and allow fans to experience new content in a completely immersive way. Which, yeah, all right, fuck it, yeah. It's a little bit of popcorn, but yeah, why not? Why not? I'm always down for more Avatar. I think it's interesting. They got to go into the past because any future stuff, the writers want to get their hands
uh-huh.
on and just
It's
more
such a
spin
safe
on.
thing to do as well. And you can do
Mhm.
some crazy like we gotta save the world because the demon and blah blah blah. And it's like, all right, status quo, we're good.
Mhm.
Like that you can do
You don't gotta
literally
worry. You don't gotta
anything
worry.
and get away with it.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about anything. You're just like it's a prequel. Everyone will be fine. We don't got to worry too much
Uh-huh.
about it.
And they can kill off fucking
Mhm.
John Avatar and it's that
No, not John Avatar.
and nothing's gonna happen, you know? Because it's like, oh, they have to
Mhm.
die anyways, so
Ooh, email them that, but like he dies at the end. Just email them that. They'll be like, "Oh,"
and that's how the next Avatar was born.
and that's the next game. You play as a new Avatar with old
Jane
NPC
Avatar.
Jane Avatar. Why hire us? What's happening? Why are we not hired yet,
I
Lewis?
don't know, man.
Saber Interactive, hit us up.
But
We're free to write.
to speaking of writing, DMing requires you to do a lot of writing, and you just finished up your like 2 year campaign. How does it feel? The dust has settled. It's been, as of recording, it's been like 2 days. You've
Mhm.
had 2 days to like sit on it now.
I think it's weird to be like I feel kind of like the writers of Avatar: The Last Airbender because I had a lot of shit plotted out and written down, and it took a while to fucking weave my way through it and finally get to the end. But we're here, and it's just so odd because I don't know. It's like you have these ideas written down, and because D&D is such like you have to put effort into it. You have to be there, and because people have had vacations, they've been sick, they've not been able to do it,
Kevin has had
and
like 20
because
vacations, just
yeah,
like Rudy.
I don't wanna say who Brody and Kevin, but, a lot of people have had vacations, and it's just and because the game is so story focused, I kinda want people to be there. The few times they're not, I'll do, like, a side session with them. Like, I think, neutral entity to the pod, Quincy. I don't know if she's friend of the pod yet. I don't think she listens. Neutral companion to the pod, Quincy. We had like our own little mini session while you guys were doing other shit simply because she wasn't there. But yeah, it's just interesting after writing and planning everything, waiting for such a long time to finally get there. And I just hope the finale was entertaining, I guess. But as a player finishing a D&D campaign, I believe this is your second, right? How did you feel about finishing it?
My first one, I was not confident in it at all because
Hmm.
like I was running half module, half homebrew, and I ended it on a module, and that was the module I prepared the least for. So I was
Hmm.
like, "Fuck!" I was struggling, and I was like, "I don't know how to fit this into the overall like tone." And I felt like I fumbled it a lot for my first campaign.
Hmm.
As for my second campaign, where I was like, I told myself I was like, I'm not gonna rely on any modules. I'm gonna do it all on my own, and I felt like I did a lot better
Hmm.
concluding my second campaign than my first campaign. Like I thought it was a lot more impactful, a lot more meaningful, and the story was a
Hmm.
lot more cohesive on that one.
I would say that it really is because your confidence as a DM has really grown. You've done a great job growing in that regard. But I would wonder if one of the differences uh in you feel the execution was made a little bit better is that your season one didn't really have like it didn't really feel like a big finale. It was just kind of like another heist.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, like, the second season was like, we're all culminating to this one location. There's a big thing. We're doing this. There's like an ending. Like we're going off into the sunset. That kind of thing. So I
Mhm.
wonder if that's why it feels a bit more satisfying to you, maybe.
Yeah, I think that was it too, and it was also, like, I was still figuring out, like, how to do,
Mhm,
like, big monster reveals and how to have, like, I call it their anime moment, where it's like,
mhm,
for people who watch anime, you get what I'm saying, but it's like that moment where every character has their, like, their 10 seconds of fame,
mhm.
and I was like, "Alright, everyone needs to have their anime moment, and how do I give everyone their anime moment?" So I felt like I did a good job at doing that too.
That I will say, I do love having our little anime moments in your campaign. I remember we were fighting a bad guy, and like I think my character got the killing blow, and I did a whole like, oh, his sword like turns into light and flies
Uh-huh,
around, and each light's like a memory of everyone hanging out, like very anime. Like
uh-huh.
his hair is in the wind. It's a lot of fun to play at those moments.
But yes, and also too, I think for me, I have the benefit that we're all in person.
Mhm,
So, and I try to make my thing as interactive as possible. So that's
mhm,
why I have everyone for my campaign, everyone instead of using D&D miniatures because miniatures are expensive,
mhm,
everyone has little Legos that they make. And I have some actual miniatures I implement, but like 90% of like all my
mhm,
miniatures are D&D Legos. So I try to get fun shiny Legos for everyone to look at. I get Elizabeth's for a minute I was using Lego mats, but then Elizabeth was like, "Oh, why don't we get like actual um like
like
terrain
play
pieces?
mats.
Yeah, play mats."
Mhm,
And I was like, "That is a great idea." And I felt like that really helped step my game up too, and those playmats made things significantly easier for me to DM
mhm,
because I'm like, okay, you know how far 30 feet is, you know how far 60 feet is, and like especially too when you guys are fighting the monsters, they have bigger feet, so obviously the 5 feet rule doesn't really apply to them,
mhm,
and I can kind of get away with that. Where was when you're fighting just a regular gunslinger or a monk, what have you, they have to
mhm,
apply by those rules still. So I like doing that too because I like having the interactiveness. And one of my favorite moments was when you guys so in our campaign, in the campaign I'm running to the
mhm,
watchers, there was an episode where they got captured by an opposing force. And while they were captured, the captive person injected them with a virus that was going to kill them within a day. And if they
mhm,
didn't do what they told him, he was like, this virus is gonna kill you, but I know where the cure is at. So you do something for
mhm.
me, and I'll give you the cure. And so and that's also a good way to rare world campaigns, DMs if you're trying to get from A to B without them fucking around.
Mhm,
Um, so I had did that, and when they got to when they got to like this lab to find the cure, it was very like Resident Evil. Those are the vibes I try to go
mhm,
for. And when they got to the big thing, I remember too. I had this Venom mech. It was like Lego sells like these
mhm.
mech versions. It's like a miniature, but they're like in a mech. It's hard to explain, but like they
Yeah.
have like Darth Vader and a giant mech, Luke Skywalker and like an X-wing mech. They're really cool, like Legos. And I had that as like the final boss. And when I pulled that out, I'm never gonna forget everyone's face. They're like, "Oh fuck!" Like this
Yeah.
monster is like crazy.
Mhm,
And what was even more funny was that session, I got an idea from Dimension 20 where it was Brandon Lee Mulligan and one of his it's not his main campaign, it's one of his side ones he does. Um where it's like when you roll a nat 20, you become a DM for like 30 seconds. So I was like, I'm going to
mhm,
implement that rule. So I put it into my campaign and I'm never going to forget Noah rolled the D20, and as soon as Noah rolled the D20, we switched seats and I had the Lego right there behind my DM screen, and it was just sitting there like I was like, fuck it, whoever rolls it is gonna see this. And
mhm.
as soon as we like switched seats, I saw Noah go, oh fuck, like he literally said oh fuck, and his eyes wided open, and I smiled because I was like, he saw the big surprise, and I was really excited
Mhm.
for that.
I wish I had planned for that better because at the moment I was just like, here's money and food, thanks." Like I didn't think on a map. Here's a map, money and food. There you go.
It's
Like I wish
so
I had planned to do
that
better,
is
but
such a fun world too because it's like I feel like when as a player, like you'll be thinking like, oh okay, I want to do this. This is how I'm gonna help further the players.
mhm,
But then when you're put on that hot seat, you everything goes out the window. because
Yeah.
everyone starts yelling at you. They're like, "Give me this, give me that. I want this and that." And then it's like the pressure is on you. And by the time you finally think of something, you have like 5 or 10 seconds left, and you're like,
Mhm.
"Shit." So for people who are unaware, Brandon Lee Mulligan does this thing. He's a DM
I
for
love
he's a
my
DM
crush.
for another like D&D company. He does this thing in one of his campaigns where I've only seen it on TikTok, so I don't know like the exact nuances behind it. But whoever rolls a D20
Mhm.
first, I believe, I don't know the stipulations behind it, but you have to roll a D20, and then after you roll the D20, you become the DM for like 60 seconds to 30 seconds. But the catch is the second you roll it, the timer starts. So what I do is like whoever rolls it, I pull out a timer on my phone. I pull my phone out facing everyone, and I press the timer. And as soon as I press the timer, we have to switch seats. So if Noah rolls a d20, he has to get his ass literally has to get off of his seat and sit on my DM seat. And the second his
Mhm.
butt touches my seat, he can start making rules. But the clock is already ticking. So if it takes him like 5 seconds to get to my seat, he only has 25 seconds now to be a DM. It takes him 10
Mhm.
seconds, so on and so forth. But while that's happening, like your players start freaking out. They're like, "Oh my god, like what do I do? What do I do?" Because like I can do some crazy
Mhm.
shit. And then at the same time, it's literally like you're like at a birthday party hitting the piñata.
Mhm.
Everyone is yelling at you, telling you, "Give me this, give me that, give me this," and
Yeah.
it's just like it's a lot of social peer pressure. And I'm just sitting there laughing because I'm like, "All right, how am I gonna have to like navigate around this bullshit?" And I
Uh-huh.
think it's a fun rule too because like everyone enjoys it for like for what it
Yeah.
is.
And it is like in that same way of hitting a piñata, you can't start swinging at the audience. You know what I mean?
Uh
Like you
huh.
have this goal of hitting the piñata, the same thing in the game. Like you can't just be like, we kill the bad guy, because that's not a part of the story. That's not within like
Hmm.
storytelling. Because you have to like trust your friends as storytellers. You have to trust them to not be like, I get a magic missile that can kill the bad guy. Because not only because that's not fun. Also as a DM, you can be like, oh, it fell apart. Sorry. You know, it's just so you gotta be within reason of your ask.
Hmm.
Like, I think the few times the DM thing has happened, it's been like, we just asked for, like, supplies. We're like,
That's
"Just prep
literally
us."
all it is, just money
Yeah,
half the time. I think
just
Rudy
money.
asked for like a grenade launcher, and I was like, "All right." Also, here's the thing too. I'm gonna talk about this now too. I
We're
don't
talking about
like,
Rudy? Alright,
yeah,
I hate that bitch. Fuck him. I'm so tired. He's tall. I can't stand what are you talking about? Rudy?
I don't like having because here's the thing. Rudy doesn't necessarily read his class shit, and we both had to sit him down and talk to him about this,
Uh-huh.
where it's like Rudy, you're not playing your class right, and it's like because he'll be like, oh, I'm gonna bonus action, so like I'm going by Boulder's Gate rules because I feel like that makes a
Mhm,
lot of sense.
mhm,
Um, so in Boulder's Gate, when you want to attack, you use that you use your primary weapon. So you have your primary, like your melee weapon, and then you have your ranged weapon. Unless you're a spellcaster, that's different. But um, if you want to do like your like let's say you're a fighter and you have your sword out and you're hitting, and you want to do your bonus action and hit again, you can't switch out weapons because that is your action movement, switching
mhm.
from one weapon to another. And we tried to tell him that, and he was like, "No, you're wrong. I'm right." And it's like, Rudy, like I want you to have fun, but it's like when you're doing 60 to 80 damage per
Mhm.
turn, like we got a little bit of a problem here. And Rudy's character is naturally broken. Like I hate his character so fucking much.
You empower him. I don't know what to tell you.
I did. I did. And I'm making it my goal to kill his character this season.
I will say, like, I believe switching weapons in D&D, I think that does count as a free object interaction, but at the same time, if you're the DM and you're just like if you're switching from a pistol to a rocket launcher
To
to
a
a grenade
shotgun
launcher,
and then
that's gonna take like yeah, no, this isn't a video game where you cycle shit in and out, you know? So if you're the DM laying the law down, then that's understandable. But the funniest parts about that is that I remember you talking to him and be like, "Yeah, we're not gonna do that anymore." Rudy's face like physically dropped. It looked despondent, and it looked like he was about to quit. He's like, "I'm not gonna play this shit if I can't do it." Like that was his face. He was like despondent, not sad, despondent. He's just like, "Oh,
I
I don't
like
know if I want to play this anymore." Like I see that in his face.
I had to lay down rules for him. So
Mhm,
listeners, I told him this. Because his character is a homebrew Helldivers from the
mhm,
video game class as a Helldiver fighter. And
Mhm.
I told him, I was like, you can have all these guns, Rudy, but if you're going to use like your bonus action, and
Mhm.
because he has a rifle and a shotgun, those are his main weapons, and he has a grenade launcher that has like 2 shots in it left or something like that. I told him, I was like, if you're gonna use like your rifle or your shotgun, that's gonna be
Mhm.
an action switching out those guns. So you're
Mhm.
gonna have to tell me which ones you're using. But your pistol will always count as a bonus action because I was like,
Mhm.
let's use reality for a second.
Mhm.
As a soldier, you always kind of have, at least you would think you have like your hip holster. So like I figured that's a lot easier in the realm of reality from switching guns to just go back to your holster and pew, kind of like some cowboy shit. I like that's a lot more believable than like, and then I'm pulling out my shotgun and like doing that. And
Yeah.
I was trying to meet him halfway, and then he even said, he was like, "This doesn't sound fun," and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Rudy."
That's what he said. He looked like he was about to give up. He was like, "This is a tough one. If I can't do 60 damage, what's the point?"
Because how many like attacks did he do like in one? It was even in your campaign. You're like, okay, I need to start looking into this now.
Yeah, I feel like because I went to you even because I play a monk, and monks can do like bonus actions, flurry of blows. And I literally went to I was like, Lewis, I fucked up like my monk points. Like you only use one. And now thinking back, I think back to my campaign where Rudy plays a monk, and I'm just like, how many key points did you use this turn? You can only use one. How many did you spend? I need to think back to how many you spent this turn because you did like 3 stunning strikes. I don't think that's possible. Like I'm just thinking back now. The
Rudy's
other
the one
campaign.
fucking character you have to watch. Because if you let him
Uh-huh.
get away with this shit, he's gonna keep doing it. And I'm just like, ah,
You know what, Rudy? Let's complain about Rudy. He's not going to listen to this. We
oh
know he's
no,
like Kevin. Shout out Kevin. Kevin will listen to
yeah,
this. Love you.
our lawyer, our rule
I
lawyer,
love,
Kevin.
love you, Kevin. That friend of yours in your campaign, I made a dramatic monologue to your lovely girlfriend Elizabeth's character. He interrupted it with a joke. In my campaign, when I was saying goodbye to a character doing a monologue, he interrupted with a joke. That son of a bitch. Like I'm trying to like everyone does D&D differently. I'm more of like a wannabe actor, one of those people. Like I'm more of a role player. Every time I try to be dramatic, he interrupts it. I'm gonna beat the shit out of him.
I
I'm
re-
gonna beat the shit.
I remember one time in my early D&D
Uh,
sessions, it was him and Ansem were like, I had you guys captured by a villain.
mhm,
Like you guys woke up in a cage cell, and I was like, the villain pops up and she starts talking, and Ansem and Rudy were like, and blah. And I was like, I thought of this. I was like, room of silence. You guys can no
yeah.
longer talk. And he was like, well, I'm just flipping her off. And this, I'm like, you can flip her off all you want. She's gonna still talk. So that's how I
Yeah,
got them to
I
shut
remember
up.
that. But it's like, bitch, let me
Here,
finish the monologue, then you can talk shit
here's a
after.
pro
Like,
tip
yeah,
for any DM out there. If you want to do a
punch him. Just
monologue,
punch your players. Just punch your
yeah, that
players.
too. That too. Don't be afraid to hit a motherfucker.
Yeah.
But if you want a monologue and your characters are yapping, just even if they're not a spellcaster, because they're gonna forget, just be like they
Mhm,
cast Zone of Silence on all of you
mhm,
guys, and it's your wizard's like counterspell. You counterspell that counterspell, and there you go.
mhm.
They're no longer they used up all their spell slots. They go right back to fighting.
And it's like, well, the wizard's not high enough level. I have a magic ring, bitch. Too bad. Be quiet. You
Yeah,
know, just say something. Or we can. How about we get a spray bottle and we
like
fill it with
cats.
hot sauce. Yeah, but we fill it with hot sauce and vinegar. We just spray them whenever they're talking. Like, let me do a monologue, bitch. And it's great. But yeah, Rudy, you've interrupted me twice while monologuing, and
and
I'm not gonna forget it. I was at the gym working out,
mhm.
and I was just like, "Fucking Rudy, man!" Like he just popped into my head.
And it is so funny too, because they did like he'll confide. He's like, I play so much of a shithead, and sometimes I take it personal. I'm like, because you're a dick when we play. You're a shithead when we play, and you wonder why people react this way with you.
What did he say? He was just like,
Okay,
"Yeah, everyone was a little mean to me." And I was
Rudy told me this.
okay,
Rudy's one of our players. As a person, loveliest person you'll ever meet. I'll go to hell and
he's
back
one of
for
my
Rudy.
confident top 10 confidence. Love him. Would
Yeah,
sleep with anyone he
I'll take
wants.
a bullet for him. But
Mhm,
God, do I hate playing D&D with him sometimes. So one time, this was in my campaign, not Noah's.
mhm,
A couple days after, we were hanging, me and Rudy were hanging out doing something, and then he pulled me aside and he was like, "Hey, Luis, you want to hear something funny?" And I held on to this for like a
Mhm,
year, and then I recently told Noah and my girlfriend Elizabeth this at the end of my finale for my campaign, and they all started laughing.
mhm.
Um, so Rudy pulled me aside. He was like, "Yeah, last session, you know how you guys were all like teaming up on me, making fun of me." He was like, "I got a little upset. Like it really got to me for a minute, and then I had to like tell myself like this is just a game. We're all having fun. These are actually my friends, and they actually love me." And he was like, "But it got to me for a cool minute."
Uh,
But I haven't thought about it till now. But I'm like, yes, I wonder why we were like this with you, Rudy. Like, stop and think about it for a fucking second.
wow, I wonder what we aren't nicer to, like, the drug addicted, trigger happy turtle that has barely any character development. I wonder why we're not nicer to him. That's part of the reason I retired my characters because I'm just like, where else could he go? Especially with his because a spoiler, not a spoiler. Me and our friend Rudy's characters are brothers, and part of my thing was like, I don't know where else this brother relationship could go. Like, I feel like it's hit whatever story height it'll hit.
Mhm.
Like they've been up, they've been down, magic shit has happened, but now they're like stable, I guess. And I just don't know where else it would go. So part of me getting a new character is like trying something new.
Uh-huh.
But yes, just to reiterate, Rudy, in the one in a million chance you listen to this, we love you. We all just play D&D differently, and that's what makes it
But
fun.
he
But it
plays
also
it
makes it
wrong.
you take 7 turns. First I'm gonna do a shotgun, then I'm gonna hit him with a laser, and then I'm gonna go into my shell, and then out of my shell, I'm gonna take out a
And
sniper
I'm gonna
rifle,
do
and
it like 3 bonus actions.
and then I'm gonna spin and do like flurry of blows. And it's just that's just him.
You know what I'm excited about too? So in my campaign, um I okay, so context behind this. I had just seen Alien Romulus like a few days before this before I DM'd this specific session I'm about to tell you.
A fun movie.
It's a really fun movie. I think you guys would if you like aliens, you'd like it. It's a lot of alien. Anyways, neither here nor there.
It's just aliens. It's
But
just
we had like everyone in the group had all just seen aliens roughly around like the last 7 days. So it was in
mhm,
all of our heads. So going back to that Resident Evil session I mentioned earlier,
mhm,
they go into the lab, and as a DM, you at least for me, like when I'm like planning out like mini dungeons like that, I'm like, okay, this is gonna have this and it's gonna have that for players.
mhm,
But when they ask for something oddly specific, like you kind of have to just go with it. So
mhm.
and Rudy was like, "Oh, this is a lab, right?" And like, so they're making like bioweapons here, yada yada yada. And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, that's exactly what it is." And he was like, "Oh, is there like a black syringe? Is there like a syringe I could like inject myself with?"
Oh my
And I was
god.
like, "I guess there is." And so again, I had just seen Alien Romulus, and he was like, and I was like, "Roll a d4," and I came up with like 4 situations top of my head, and he landed on the alien one. And then I was like, "Oh, you find this syringe with the black goo in it." And he was like, "I grabbed the syringe and stabbed myself with it and injected it in my body." And I look at him, I'm like, "Are you sure?" And players, whenever a
That's
DM
the
asks
yeah,
you, "Are you sure?" That's how you know you fucked up.
yeah, that's how you know when you need to back off. That's when you go, "Oh, no, no, never mind, never mind." That's the hint. That's a very obvious hint. Are you sure this'll fuck you up? Because there are consequences to your actions.
And so he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna do it. This is gonna give me some like powers."
Mhm,
And me and him were just talking about Alien Romulus, like maybe like an hour before the session started, and we were specifically talking about the black goo from Alien. So I
mhm,
thought he would catch on to what I was fucking doing. And so, and then he was like, "Okay." And then I tell him, I was like, as soon as you inject it in you, you immediately feel something like swarming in your body." He was like,
mhm.
"Oh fuck." And like that's when it like hit him, and I was like, and I thought to myself, I was like, "This is how I kill Rudy."
Yes.
But and I'll give you a peek behind the curtain a little bit more right
Mhm,
here. I was like, this is how I kill Rudy, but I was like, oh fuck, there's a boss fight coming up. You guys kind of
yeah.
need him for this fight right now.
Oh, yeah, we need him to hide in his shell half the time. Yeah, we definitely need him for that.
And so I was like, fuck, I can't kill him off. And so, and there's one of those things, and I'm never gonna forget this too, because I was like, okay, I'm gonna give Rudy some real consequences. And I hate like talking over my players and telling them like no, because I had to do this to you.
Mhm,
So pretty much what had happened was Soon as he injected himself, I was like, yeah, a fucking xenomorph pops out of your chest. And he was like, I tried to shoot it. I'm like, Rudy, it broke out of your rib cage. You're dead. And he was
Mhm.
like, what? And I'm like, yeah. And he was like, let me do a death save. I'm like, Rudy, it broke out of your fucking rib cage. Like it shot through your heart. You are 110% dead. And he was like, oh fuck. And so in previous sessions, he had made a deal with the devil. So I started
Mhm.
role playing as the devil, and I was like, hey, I'll cut you another deal. And he was like, I'll take the deal. And like didn't even let me finish the sentence. And then, but before that had happened, Noah was like, "Let me get my scroll of resurrection and pop." And I was like, that's when I like talked over Noah. I was like, "No, no, no, you're not doing that. You're gonna let me do
Mhm.
this."
Yeah, and that's like also another hit. Like, oh, he has something planned. Okay, never mind. I put the scroll away. I'm like,
And
and I
so
did something similar in the finale when you're doing something. I was like, can I save this person? And you're just like, actually. And I'm like, okay, they're doing a cinematic. All right, we're doing a cutscene. I don't need to do anything.
what had happened was I made a deal with him, and I'm excited for this now because you guys are a little bit higher level, so that means
Mhm.
the odds of them rolling low and still attacking are still it's
Mhm.
greater now. Um, I
Can
made
you
a
remind me of the deal?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I made the deal with Rudy is that when he goes down, he automatically has two death fails, and if he fails his one and only death saving throw, his character
Mhm.
is dead. There's no coming back. So a scroll of resurrection won't bring him back. No magic, no nothing will bring him back. So if he
Mhm.
fails the one death saving throw, that is it. He is done. Unless somebody comes and like stabilizes him or like uses magic
Mhm.
to pick him up, obviously. But if he does fail that, he's gone. And I feel like too that adds more credence to his character. And I'm excited to see where he goes with this one going forward because he knows like if he even if he goes down that one time, he's like, oh shit, like this could end.
Mhm.
So if he dies in a simple fucking like bar fight, that's very he can die like that. Like I'm not gonna give him any more like plot relevancy
Mhm.
anymore.
Yeah, that plot armor's gone, baby. It's open season. That would be interesting if he just died for like no plot reason. You guys are just in like a fucking bar fight. He just gets hit the wrong way and just goes down. That'd be fucking wild.
It'd be like what was it in the first Civil War where Johnny's in a coma because he gets into a bar fight and they break a bottle
Mhm.
over his head and he's like, all right, he's gone for like majority of Civil War.
Oh my gosh. But I'm very excited for your season 3. Uh I am having I'm playing a warlock,
Hmm.
which I need to do more research because I'm having trouble grasping the spells because apparently because warlocks have like 2 spell slots, but they have like access to all their spells. I don't know. It's a very
Yeah, I
odd
tried to play
thing.
a warlock in Baldur's Gate. I got confused.
Yeah, I'm very the only thing I'm certain about is I'm playing a specific class called Hexblade in which you summon a weapon. So you're kind of fighter, but you can also do Eldritch Blast. And I'm only doing that because in NADPOD they had like they had a guy Caldwell. He did like a 20 mini thing where Emily Axford played a Hexblade and she did a lot of damage. And I was like, oh, I like that. Like, still cast spells, but I can also still hit you. So I
Hmm.
kind of liked that build. So I'm kind of doing something similar, but warlocks are weird. I'm having, I'm fine with bards. I'm fine with wizards and a lot of other spellcasters, but I'm having issues with warlock for some reason. But
Hmm.
I'll figure it out before you start your campaign.
And on that note, we will end episode 60.
Oh wait, we're ending? No, we have to give out homework.
5. Your homework for
Mhm.
for this episode is to go watch the latest season of Vox Machina.
Oh my gosh, I've been meaning to watch it. I'm so
I
excited.
watched the
That
first
was it. Have you
I
watched it?
watched the first 2 episodes. Um the first 2 episodes are set up, and then at the end of episode, because they say this in the
Mhm,
trailer, so slight spoiler warning if you're like
mhm.
behind. To fight the big baddie, they're like, we need to go to hell, and we
Okay.
need to go to hell to go grab what we need. And so at the end of episode 2 of the current, I think it's season 3 or season 4, they're like,
3.
oh, okay, so at the end of season 3, they're like, we need to go to hell. So that's when like the actual season starts picking up. So
Mhm,
I've seen up until episode 2 where like the actual plot is gonna start to go off
mhm.
because Amazon likes to dump 3 episodes at once, and I only watched the first 2, but I think as of right now there's maybe a total of 5 episodes as of recording. I could be wrong. But yeah, well, go watch Vox Machina. It's a really good show. Matt Mercer and the crew are great at what they do.
Yeah, big fan of that. My homework is to go to your local comic book store and pre-order Absolute Wonder Woman #1. It's coming out November.
Didn't Absolute Batman just come out?
Yes, and I've been meaning to read it, but I've heard amazing things about it.
Also,
It's,
for people
Scott
watching,
Snyder
here's
again.
my dog. She's wearing a cute little jacket.
Still the tag on, huh?
Probably hear her snorting.
You know, return that jacket. You still got the tag.
That's what
I
she
do hear
said.
this. Shit, a racial slur live on the air.
Yeah,
Crazy.
that's my dog for you. She's a little racist. She's a self-hating. Since pugs are Asian, she's a self-hating Asian. Why do people do that with their dogs? Where they're like, they always say, "Oh, they're pieces of shit." Like their personalities are like the worst. I've noticed that with dog owners.
I do that too in my dog. I give her a little British voice, and I took her up to my sister, and I was just like, "Melissa, I don't believe in vaccines." I just like shake my dog and make the voice. I don't know. I think dog
Dog
maybe we love
racism.
it. Yeah, dog racism. We love it. We love
And
it.
that's the note we're gonna end it on. See you guys next week.
Goodbye.